Some have spoken about Mbali and whether or not she'll be part of this party for a really long time. I think go back to 2020, where she contested to be federal leader of the organization. When that didn't work out, talk was Mbali would step down. She didn't step down. She campaigned for the party, helping the party through the 2021 local government elections. And now we are here, and she's with us in studio here at Prime Media Place in Sandton. Mbali, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Tshidi.
A lot of people kind of aren't necessarily shocked that you would go. They kind of expected to see you part ways with the party, have been counting down to this since you contested for federal chair in 2020.
I think that's true, and certainly a lot of people have always said to me, you know, when are you leaving? And I mean, if you listen to what everyone always says and tells you to do, then you'd be doing a lot of silly things. And I think that I leave on my own terms and at the time that was right for me after deep introspection. But I hope that they asking those questions is also because they see that maybe I have a lot more energy and a lot more ideas that I might not be able to do in the DA, and that they're wishing me the best to be able to do it elsewhere, which is what I plan on doing.
When you reflect on your relationship with the party, and you started in your late teens with the DA, and as you leave it now, 15 odd years after the fact, when you reflect on your relationship with the party, who changed? Did the DA change, or did Mbali Ntuli change over time that made it impossible to still stay and do what you want to do and serve in the way that you want to serve?
I think both. I mean, the party's changed from the party that I originally joined, in some ways for the better, in some ways not for the better. I think that there was a lot of optimism and hope when a lot of us younger people joined the party. It was a formidable opposition party, and it really looked on track to being able to, at least being a credible alternative to be able to take over. And I mean, that's why I did a lot of work with the party, and I'm very proud of the work and the time that I've spent in the party. But I'd also like to think that I've changed. I mean, personal growth and the way that you grow as a leader, the strength that you get from the lashings that you get from communities and people, I think have held me in good stead. And I'm hoping to take that growth and all that knowledge and experience that I've accumulated and to be able to do something in the future that's still going to be contributing to the country.
Some people would have argued, I should have asked you this before that should you not have left sooner? Do you have any regrets? I mean, you say you're leaving now on your own terms. When you calculate it though, were there moments where actually maybe you should have said, I'm enough, and left a little bit sooner than you did?
I think everybody in every organization has those thoughts, and I mean, particularly in things like politics and the media, where it's not just a job, it's more of a calling and a profession. You have to weigh very deeply what you think is the best for you, for your own personal fulfillment of the purpose that you think you've been given to be on this earth. And of course, there have been times when I've thought maybe this is the time for me to exit the stage. But I think I leave now when I'm extremely comfortable. I think I've leave a good legacy of having mentored a lot of people in the party, being mentored by people in the party, building formidable relationships even across different political parties. And I'm proud to leave where I do now. I think that I've done as much as I can within the confines of what the political party system currently allows you to do.
Deep compassion for those who remain. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that means?
I think there's a huge personal toil that you take from being in something like politics. And I think that the party is going through a deeply turbulent time as it tries to find its feet, whatever that may be in the future. And I think that that causes instability for everyone. Much like in the country at the moment, we all feel a little bit unstable because of the way our governing party and just the politics of the day are. And so I leave knowing that a lot of them want to do exemplary work, but that's not always particularly easy. You're not always appreciated. And so I leave them with a lot of kindness.
In 2020, you raised a series of issues within the party that were problematic, including the cult of personalities and the atmosphere of fear in dealing with retribution when you raise particular issues in a particular manner. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. When you raise particular issues in a particular manner. Have you noticed any change in addressing those issues that you raised in 2020? It's now 2 years after the fact. Have you seen attempts and fruit, even bear fruit, to those issues that you raised that were the culture, that became the culture in the organization?
I mean, I raised those issues because I thought that they were detrimental to the organization. And I didn't only raise them, I also raised my hand to try and help to lead the party out of that situation. I don't see much of a change, and that may be my personal perception from where I stand. I think that there's so much more that we could be doing as an organization to really take care of the people within the party, and to allow for the diversity of rules in a way that doesn't allow people to be ostracized if they are different. But at the same time, I think I've been very forthright. I've never shied away from being able to say that. And if the majority of people feel differently, then that's great for them. I personally would rather bow out and try a new direction and really pivot to the future.
I don't think race is at the heart of why you are leaving. However, we can't ignore that there is a pattern of young black leaders who seem to not find expression going forward. It's like the ceiling has been lowered in the party for young black leaders. What is your view of that? Because that perception doesn't go away. In fact, you are further proof of this to the general public, that something is wrong, that black professionals should worry if they're looking to the DA as a platform to use to play a role in politics and the likes.
I think race is something that permeates every organization, including probably the one that you work at. And I think that that's the case for young black professionals everywhere. And that's the reason because of our history and our past and the way that South Africa still, till this day, is very, I suppose, unreformed in some of those things. And I think that those are issues that should be tackled. But in a political party that says that it wants to be able to lead a plethora of people and to be able to take that, I do think that they have a responsibility to really introspect and take far more seriously the accusations that are sometimes labeled by them. I don't speak for all black people that have left or within the DA, of which there are still many, but certainly it has been a recurring issue and framework of the way that people have framed their issues with the party, and not to speak for the people that have left, but I think that there's always merit in looking at what people, and I think that the party should be far braver about confronting that than rather than acting like it doesn't exist without really delving deeply into it. And how it does that is going to take, I think, significant courage from being able to do what a lot of organizations in South Africa sometimes struggle to do. But you can't be a leader if you're not willing to make those very difficult choices and those difficult decisions.
Does the DA have the kind of leadership to do that at the moment? Do you think they have capacity and potential? And if they made up their minds, would have the political will, considering its current political leadership?
I'd like to think that there are maybe some people that would like to have the conversation. Whether or not they're in the majority is doubtful for me. And I think that the political leadership of the day obviously believes that they're doing a good job. And so I suppose the proof will be in the pudding. I think the last election was not exemplary, and that might not just be down to race, of course, but these kinds of things permeate into our society because you can't delineate what the voter thinks on a plethora of issues. And so I would think if there were serious race amongst tone, amongst different things that the party says that they take seriously should be things that they look at. But I have no doubt that the current leadership believes that they're doing a great job.
Douglas Gibson, when you were running for federal leader at the time, not putting it odds with, it's not Helen. Douglas Gibson, when you were running for federal leader, spoke about how the DA had tried to put in the likes of Lindia Mazbugo and Musi Maimani in leadership positions, saying that those were failed experiments. He said you weren't ready as far as he was concerned. You lacked the necessary maturity and to deal with that and to take on a head of state as the leader of the opposition. We spoke a short while ago, and he said, yes, her leaving the DA proves me correct, that if she can't get her way, she cannot stay, she will not be able to fall in line and toe the line in essence. What's your reaction to the old guard of the DA viewing someone like you, who is proud of her legacy, who's put in the work? They view you in this particular way, that it's a prima donna essence. In essence, they see you as a prima donna who cannot be told if she can't have a way. You throw your toys out and now you're leaving the party. He says he's absolutely correct. He's been correct about you. What's your view of that?
I think it's unfortunate, especially since I don't think I have ever even met Douglas Gibson, so I'm not sure how he could have such confidence to talk about me in that sense. Certainly, I haven't seen anything that he's done lately that's been contributing to the country that gives him the ability to say who should and shouldn't be a leader. I'm very grateful, though, that a lot of people in the DA of his generation and in the public don't hold that view about young people who challenge power. And so I think that he is part of the archaic system of the political system that we need to change in this country. And I think that, you know, I'm glad that he finds relevance in being able to talk about me and has a lot of times on Twitter. But I don't take what he says particularly seriously, given that I haven't seen anything that he's done. And, you know, I'm quite a self-aware person, and I feel confident that I've done my bit for the party and I've done my bit for the country. And I think that it's a silly argument to make that people can't leave the party ever. What would be the alternative, that I sit and atrophy and just earn a salary, as opposed to actually leaving what would be considered a cushy position and going back onto the ground and actually trying to utilize what I think are the ideas and the innovation that I want to be able to do it. I haven't left the DA with any bombs, and so I think he's the one that's quite immature and quite childish in his way. I think I left quite graciously, but you know, he is probably the reason that people are put off by the DA, and I think that he would be considered more of the problem about what the DA looks and stands for than I would.
What do you make of the way the DA has handled the coalitions? When you look at some of the coalitions it's gotten into, do you have a view on how it's run and gotten into some of the agreements it has, and how it's decided to run some of the metros?
To be very honest, that's really been dealt with at a national level, and I have no intimate knowledge aside from what I also see publicly that's been happening. But my general sense and view of political parties across the political spectrum right now is that they all lack the maturity to fully collaborate and to really work for South Africans, which is why I'm not joining any of them. I think that we need to reimagine the way that we do politics. I mean, I've been speaking about this since my leadership race, which is when I wanted to maybe start that and have that opportunity to do so. And so I find none of them inspiring in the way that they behave and the way that they try to pretend to care about South African general issues. And so it's not just the DA, I think that it's across the political spectrum. For me, being in the role that I've been and the platform that I've had so many people come to me saying, this is the amazing work I'm doing here, can I get some support and whatever, and it's not always appropriate and not always possible in a political party to extend the kind of help that you can, but I leave in with an incredibly privileged position of having access to opportunities, platforms of very powerful people in South Africa, and there's no reason why I can't see that we should all be going together and highlighting the great work that is happening in these communities, putting together community activists. People are actually working parallel to government with no recognition, no help whatsoever, and really using that to kind of form the revolution that we want to see. And so that's what's exciting me right now. And I don't expect that everyone will just leave their job and be able to do that kind of stuff, but I hope that some people are inspired to thinking that if you have the kind of privilege, even if it's a little bit, that we're all going to start pulling our weight and making sure that our country gets better.
All right. Mbali Ntuli, speaking about the revolution that we do want to see in this country moves from one state of crisis into the next. My name is Tshidi Madia for EWN, chatting to Mbali Ntuli, who's just stepped down from a role as a member of the DA and the KwaZulu-Natal legislature.